Hello, nice to meet you. Today we have a very special guest.
Hello, nice to meet you. Hello.
We have invited our CEO, Kwang-soo, who is currently active as a best-selling author, on our show, Bok Deok Bang.
Thank you. I've wanted to come on RichgoTV for a long time. Sorry for being late.
I'm sorry. I've been a bit out of it, so I've decided to focus on YouTube. I used to go out to external channels a lot, and honestly, we haven't done much on our own channel, but we've now surpassed 100,000 subscribers. So, it's possible now, but I will reduce appearances on external channels and focus more on our own channel. Please invite me often. How will our CEO Kwang-soo live? How do you plan to live, everyone? The meaning of live here isn't just about living or buying, right? So, since it's currently a best-selling book, ranked #1, I hope those interested in real estate will definitely read it. In my case, I recently discussed on my channel whether Kim Ki-ho is indeed a Han Hong theorist. Those who are a bit perceptive might understand why. A Han Hong theorist would create Richgo, I know very well. Right? You've been watching me for several years. I've also had a lot of successful real estate investments with Richgo, and I'm running a platform business. So how could there be a problem with that? It's not something that needs clarification, but I tried to explain a bit. Now, let me throw a straight pitch. Some people think Kim Ki-hoon is also a downturn investor, but is our CEO Kwang-soo a downturn investor?
I'm not a downturn investor. I'm a crash investor. A crash investor.
Since you mentioned it that way, I ended up being called a crash investor.
But, to be honest, at first, I talked about that part and said it wasn't true, but it didn't change.
So it seems that people who see it that way just see it that way. There are many people don't think that way.
That's right. So if I may say, I am not a bull, bear, crash or surge theorist. I would define myself as a change theorist.
Change theorist? In what sense are you a change theorist?
Especially when looking at asset prices or the market, I always consider the possibility of a decline when prices rise. When it declines, I consider the possibility of it rising. I want to talk about change in that direction, but this change is actually inevitable in all asset markets. That's right. There is no continuous rise or continuous fall. That's right. So, in fact, I am influenced by change. And what I've gained from analyzing real estate and stocks during my time as an analyst is this. The world is change. The asset market is change. That's why I acknowledge that change is coming.
In that regard, I think you are very similar to me. After researching the asset market for a long time, I found that there are significant cycles. Big cycles. But most people get caught up in these small waves. However, it is really important to ride the big waves well.
That's right. That's actually the key. And that's how I can live well. That's what I wanted to talk about in my book, but I do have a direction I aim for. What I mean is, I want to be a compass. This is similar to me. I am a navigator. So a compass has no will, right? It simply points north, because there is a north. But every time I see CEO Kim Ki-hwan, I am reminded of a compass. He seems like a compass. You say, look at the data. This is north. You're not just talking about your will. So, at that point, we have similarities. So I want to be a compass. And when I move a little, the compass does not move. That's the change. I hope you all see my small wish that way, but it can't be helped, right? Right now. It can't be helped. It's not my will. I hope you can see that. But many people say, you're still a noble person and you're still a rebellious person. That can't be helped either.
That's right. Right now, it can't be helped. But there are also people who talk like this. It's really absurd because talking about decline and prosperity gets people's attention. So, honestly, I find that thought ridiculous. What do you think when you hear such stories? Our representative. Why do those people say such things?
What I've actually heard the most while working as an energyist and in real estate is that when things go up, you make more money. Rather, yes, regardless of whether it drops or not, you have to say it keeps going up to make a lot of money. In the end, whether it's interest or anything else, if you want to make money, you have to say the virtual price is going up.
But why are there some experts who talk like that? Why do they talk about crashes? Isn't it because talking about crashes gets high views and attracts people's attention? There are also people who say that...
So, right, representative, that it doesn't make money.
It doesn't. That's right. As you mentioned, talking about increases actually makes money.
Much more so. That's right. And if you say it's going down, you just get criticized.
That's right.
However, what you gain from that is not really significant. Right, personally speaking, many people tell me the same, including myself. My sister always says something. They say they don't know. Go out to give lectures, receive commissions, and provide consulting. Then, I've heard some people make a lot of money. They have many acquaintances too.
Yes.
But, can't do that.
That's right.
I envy you too. I don't have the will. Anyway. Whether you look at it objectively, subjectively, or practically, there isn't much to gain from asset prices falling. Right.
That's a clear answer.
Honestly, that's right. You're not making money. What kind of money is that? So it's frustrating.
I want to talk about the rise quickly too.
Really? I hope you all understand that as well.
Then, Mr. Lee Kwang-soo. So, how long will you talk about the bear theorists and the crash theorists? Until when? And you mentioned the change theorists deciding this, but the market will change at some point, right? So, are there any criteria or events that determine that?
It's clearly there. What that means is, when prices are falling or not rising, and in real estate, when transaction volume is increasing trend-wise, that's when it's time to prepare and invest in real estate. So, what I see as the most important is that this is the intersection. Prices are falling and not rising, yet strangely, transactions are going well, right? So, what happens is that there are many people who want to sell and many who want to buy. That's right. That's when all asset prices are experiencing a handbrake effect, right? That's the bottom for all asset prices. However, when there are many sellers but no buyers, prices need to drop further. That's right. This is the current market situation, isn't it? On the contrary, when there are no sellers but many buyers, that's the peak, right? That was around 2021. From that perspective, I am waiting for the period when transaction volume and prices intersect. When that time comes, my compass will point again.
Everyone are Representative Lee Kwang-soo's compass. Transaction volume, when the transaction volume increases. Although it has increased a bit now, historically, there has been very little trading.
Moreover, I see the possibility of a trend as low. This is because the change in the market is caused by a temporary increase in demand. It cannot continue to increase. If so, it will be difficult for trading to continue. I also judge it that way.
For the time being, it will not be easy to trade. Then, recently, reconstruction is not easy. It failed. Instead of new constructions, there was a video where our Representative Lee Kwang-soo advised to buy such buildings, and it went viral. View count. Can't you throw some bait like this in our market to make the view count go viral just once? I should have thought about that. It's okay.
What I mean is, the reason I'm saying this is that I see real estate and stocks as investments. Right. It's an investment. So I hope many people consider buying their own homes as an investment.
Of course. That's how it should be.
Even if I buy my own house, I dislike what you said the most. It's a house I will live in, so isn't it okay to buy it any time?
I feel the same way. But do you actually do what you say? You won't, right? So why say such things? It serves your own interests. That's right. It's obvious to us.
The phrase I dislike the most is, it's okay to buy any time. Why would someone who doesn't even have a house say, just buy a house to live in? That's what they say.
Exactly.
While they are not like that.
Exactly. And it's fine to talk about such things, but why do they have to say it in such an overly fair manner?
That's right. I also think this. Are they asking us to accept what they are holding? For example, something like this. I mentioned books, but when the market is booming, what kind of books come out a lot? I became the owner of 20 apartments in 10 years.
That's right. I am worth 5 billion, 10 billion.
Well then, you should have written it 10 years ago. Right. Let's buy it together. 10 years ago. That's right. They buy everything and then say that's really frustrating. However, the main criterion to distinguish that is to see the market as an investment, regardless of my situation. When looking at investments, there is one simple condition in real estate: buying when prices drop, buying what has dropped in price. That's right, but simply put, there are old apartments being rebuilt and new apartments keep rising, right? But aren't there a lot of issues with older apartments? There are concerns about the market and what won't work. So when prices drop, you should buy this. It's contrarian investing. Do you know what news has been coming out recently? Sensationally, they say new apartments don't drop in price. Let's buy new apartments. This is not seeing the world as an investment. I hope you all pay more attention to price drops. So, if you pay more attention to the falling prices among these reconstruction apartments, there could be many more like this in the future. I hope you all take an interest in that.
And now, this is something that wasn't in the questions. But as I talk with our CEO, I have a thought. In a way, our CEO has always been within the institutional framework. In a way, you are boldly standing on your own, separate from construction companies and financial institutions. I believe that indeed significant courage and other qualities were necessary for making such decisions, and I think you must have pondered a lot about what unique points our Kwang-soo's Dogdeogbang can contribute to the real estate market. Additionally, as a result of those considerations, you are currently doing very well. I would personally like to hear about that. What contributions you, Lee Kwang-soo, as a person, can make in the real estate market, and what you feel you can achieve.
And I would like to mention that the reason I had such thoughts, as the CEO mentioned, is that I am not within the institutional framework, right? To put it simply, it's very difficult to talk about falling asset prices within the institutional framework. When I said that real estate prices were dropping at the securities company, there was a huge backlash at the branch.
Oh, that can happen.
Please don't let that person go out. I'm receiving complaints. Most wealthy people own multiple houses, right? But would it feel good to go out and say that house prices are dropping? So there are a lot of complaints, and I really shouldn't go out. But that became a turning point for me. I can't express what I think. This is the first point. It's very distressing. Yes, it was really tough. So, in fact, it became a reason for me to leave the company. The second point is that in our country, especially in the real estate market, the entities providing information are biased. Oh, that's right. If you look closely, I'm not just saying this to advertise in the media. For example, when creating data and analyzing statistics in our country, construction companies and housing companies have researchers, and they all have stakes in those construction companies. I'm saying that it's biased because they work with those companies, and it's very natural. How can you bend outside like that, right? I don't want to say anything bad about them. However, most real estate information in our country only bends inward. This creates a significant asymmetry of information. It's a very important market.
Usually you could say,
It's a matter that affects one's life. That's right.
the matter affects one's life.
However, many people make decisions based on such information and forecasts, which leads to both positive outcomes and sudden failures, all stemming from that. Therefore, I particularly wanted to reduce information asymmetry in the real estate market. I want to be able to talk independently and freely, and to analyze well, without any conflicting interests. So I created a website, and the first thing I did was to offer my reports for free to many people.
Really? Why?
I thought that would allow many people to see it.
But still, our CEO needs to have some level of financial support, right? What if everything is just free?
So, for about a year, I continued to create and operate the website for free, and over 80,000 people viewed the reports. But the important thing is that people are gradually reading the articles less diligently.
Because I just gave it away for free. That makes sense.
So I'm currently thinking a lot about that point. But anyway, I wanted to reduce the non-utility of that information. And the information needs to be balanced so that you can make the right decisions. Real estate is even more important. In stocks, if you make a mistake with 1 or 2 shares, you can cut your losses and actually learn something from that experience. But if you make a mistake in real estate, I would say, to exaggerate a bit, it could be the end.
There are already so many people around me who have fallen into a pit in life, right?
But those people's voices can't really be heard loudly, right? So I think there's also an imbalance in that information, and that's why I hope my information spreads widely. So, what do we call it as a source? Korean, real estate, the Ministry of Land. If the source is wrong, it's quite limited.
That's right.
I want to ensure the diversity of sources.
It's very important to analyze real estate in a reliable way, especially when it's too biased. If we only receive news that is one-sided, it lacks balance. So, I wanted to voice something other than these voices, and without any vested interests. Right. I'm not trying to make money through this. This is actually a point that personally attracts me to CEO Lee Kwang-soo. I also see many experts in the real estate market, but there are a lot of biased individuals. We have trust and justification, right? It would be good if these two are balanced, but there are too many people leaning too much towards just trust. Regardless of any justification or cause, the most important thing is that whether I'm filming a YouTube broadcast or writing a book, I need to speak sincerely for those who listen to my voice and watch my content. However, there tends to be too much one-sided talk.
So, everyone, in fact, I keep watching what CEO Kim Ki-hwan is doing, and also looking at Richgo, which plays a very important role. It's to align with the same direction and maintain balance. Yes, that's right. However, we are still quite insignificant compared to existing institutions or information, so we lack some strength. Recently, when I look at media articles, it's very difficult to prevent all of this.
That can't be done.
Then, in fact, there is stress. I can't sleep well.
Don't worry about stretching. They should do their roles diligently, and we should do our roles diligently. I understand. Then that's how it should be. And in the world, there are people who voice this and that. And that's how transactions actually happen. If it leans too much to one side, the world might not be able to function properly. Therefore, you should listen to all stories objectively, and in the end, I have no choice but to make judgments about my life and my assets. No one will take responsibility for it.
So I'm not saying that everything I say is correct, or that my claims or data are all right. I still stand by the position of pursuing diversity. I have raised my voice in the real estate market and asset market of South Korea, and I hope many people will evaluate it.
It seems that the market is already thinking that way.
Then that makes me happy. Very much so. So, going beyond right and wrong, Lee Kwang-soo and Kwang-soo's real estate agency have enriched my decision-making in the South Korean real estate market by analyzing it. I'm glad to hear various opinions.
Yes,
All this time, there have only been people saying that only Gangnam is good.
that's right.
Still, people like this have emerged.
That's a
And I hope that we can create such an ecosystem, together with CEO Kim Ki-hwan.
yes. Let's give it a try.
Yes, fighting.
Fighting. And now I can't help but talk about CEO Lee Kwang-soo's book. Usually when we write a book, there is some grand message we want to convey. What is the big and significant message that CEO Lee Kwang-soo wants to convey to readers in his new book on how to live?
It's all in the title. The first part is how. How.
How?
How. So, whether you are investing in assets, stocks, or real estate, or when you speak, you should keep pondering about the what. What's good.
What should I buy?
But what is lacking there is the lack of methods. However, CEO, you know very well that the method is much more important.
It's very important.
You all know very well what is good, but how to do this is very important. Yes, so I think you should pay close attention to the how And I believe that wisdom is more important than knowledge. Just because you have a lot of knowledge, does that easily make you rich? No, the method actually comes from wisdom. These days, I even memorize the names of the Federal Reserve in the US. Is that necessary? No, it's not. I hope you focus on knowledge and information that can be acted upon and connected, and that you think about how to approach methods. That's the first point. Please convey this to everyone. The second point is about living, how to live. If you've thought about methods, then living is about action. You need to take action. The reason I'm waiting for the point where house prices drop is that there will eventually be an action to buy. That's why the current action is meaningful. House prices will continue to fall. That is actually meaningless. Therefore, all this wisdom and methods must be connected to action. So think about taking action. I also want to make specific plans.
No, I was really surprised when I talked with our representative Lee Kwang-soo. I have read a lot of books, but when I went to his office last time, I was very surprised. No, there were books everywhere. And while reading these books, he has a very philosophical perspective. What I always feel is that it's not just for my own sake, but there's always consideration for the people who listen to my story in our representative Lee Kwang-soo, and I think that's really nice.
Thank you. And I really hope that people who don't know much about real estate or stocks will read my book. What these people need to start with is where to go. It's not important to learn about location, fieldwork, or methods. The most important thing is the shift in perspective and thought. When you first start, that foundation needs to be established for the rest of the knowledge and information to come in well. If you focus on learning techniques from the beginning, you can get distracted. Therefore, beginners need to establish their thoughts. So, if I may say so, I really hope that those who feel they don't know much will actually come and see.
Usually referred to as Brin, I think it would be great for our Brin members to read the book How to Live by CEO Lee Kwang-soo and engage in deep contemplation and reflection about their real estate assets. That is the starting point for everything. Today, I am very happy and enjoying the conversation with CEO Lee Kwang-soo. Will you be joining us again in the future? Has it already ended? If it's too long, I understand. Please keep inviting me. Today I had a great time hearing about the real estate market and CEO Lee Kwang-soo's philosophy. Thank you. I appreciate it.